Okay, which mic are we on? Looks like we're on the right mic. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. So, over the weekend, Operation Epic Fury, we struck Iran. We struck the crap out of Iran. And there is a lot to discuss around this. I've got Mario with us to to help me with the analysis here. A lot happened over the weekend, guys. It wasn't just striking Iran. There's also the Iranian backlash, the political fallout that we're going to be looking at over this. Morning, sunshine. How we holding up?
All right, bear with me. I woke up about 10 minutes ago. This is a true Scott Adams first sip moment.
I'll join you.
Okay.
Patrick asks the relevant question: how high are gas prices going to go this time? We're going to get to that in just a minute, actually. First, let's talk about what actually happened.
$75 a barrel. Okay. Anyway, there's your answer.
Well, it beats the shit out of $100 and $150 a barrel that we saw with Barry O in office back in the day.
Well, see, now you know why they toppled Venezuela first. Now there's oil. That's why.
I'm glad you got there.
Now there's an alternative source of oil in the region. Okay, that we essentially have control over. So that's why.
Well, it's even okay. Well, let's go to the oil stuff first. The timing of this.
Iranian sleeper cells. Are they in this? Are they in the studio with you right now, Chris? Oh no, Chris, you have no volume. Chris, your volume is gone. Hold on, let me message Chris real quick. Well, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. So yes, Friday night, timed, of course, perfectly with the closing of the stock market. Okay, because the American way is we declare war after business has closed, so that we can give the stock market. Nope, you have no volume. So that we can give the stock market a weekend to essentially recover from a hangover prior to reopening. Okay, it's the American way, don't you know? So what happened was two U.S. carrier groups and all of their ensuing assets. Okay, launched a absolute hellscape-inducing operation on the country of Iran. Okay, the bombing operations have continued nonstop since then, and from what we understand, they're scheduled to be conducted throughout the entire week. Okay, so there'll be a week-long bombing campaign. The objective of Operation Epic Fury is, of course, at this point stated to be regime change. We'll get into more on that later. How about that's not really possible, but okay. So MAGAPEDs, everyone who's been a supporter of Donald Trump, I have been a supporter of Donald Trump since 2015. Okay, shortly after he went down that golden escalator, and unfortunately, I have to tell you that this is Donald Trump's biggest betrayal thus far. So Donald Trump lied to you. He lied to you about no new wars. He lied to you about not wanting regime change in Iran. This is a betrayal of the base. Okay, so just take that for what it is. Okay, because that is in fact the case here. Um, Iran did not pose a immediate threat to the United States. Iran may have posed an immediate threat to Israel, but then again, that is Israel's problem. All right. And once again, this is a tail wag the dog moment where we're being forced into a Middle Eastern conflict at the behest of the Israeli state. Okay. So we are doing this because of Israel. Okay. We're not doing this because it serves any real strategic interest for the United States. And I don't care what Fox News says. I don't listen to that shit anymore. All right. Um, I don't want to hear about Mark Levine. Mark Levine lying, okay, about how Iran has intercontinental ballistic missiles that are aimed at the United States. That's not true. Absolute horseshit. All right. This was a culmination, an early culmination of President Donald Trump's campaign promise, not to you, but to his donors, okay, in particular Miriam Adelson, all right, and her $100 million that Donald Trump took. And this was explicitly the bargain when he took that money, all right? So you're probably wondering, why? Why did they move so fast? Donald Trump had 4 years, right? Well, I suspect that the donor class that supported Donald Trump in the election are looking and thinking, assuming that the midterms are going to go disastrously for him and that he's going to be a lame duck president after November of this year. So they wanted to pack in everything that they, not that they voted for it, but everything that they paid for in Donald Trump's campaign. They wanted to get all of that front loaded and done prior to the midterms this year. All right. So I don't know if this was the original timeline intended, but that's what's happening. So everything the donor class that supported Donald Trump wants is what they are going to get, and then anything that maybe that we wanted, all right, or especially what we wanted and any potential follow through on that. Hence, in particular, the mass deportations. Unfortunately, that's going to have to wait until the paying customers get what they wanted first. All right, and that's exactly what you're looking at here. So,
Okay, so
you there, Chris?
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Okay, so we're back. Am I on the right microphone? Yes, I am. Okay, good. So, I only caught about
Sergeant Major, I know you're going to say that, okay? And it's a generational divide, okay? Everybody, like my parents also feel the same way, okay? Everyone I know within your cohort thinks the same way, all right? I gotta tell you, Fox is lying to you. It's not true. Fox is war propaganda. Fox is run by Rupert Murdoch, who is an avowed Zionist. Okay. Fox News is essentially Israel TV. Please stop watching. I know you can't. My dad can't stop. My uncles can't stop. And they're going to regurgitate the same talking point. But I'm telling you, it's not your friend. They're lying to you. It is Israeli propaganda, what you are watching, what is passively on in the television every single day. Stop watching Fox News, please. All of you.
Okay, so I haven't watched Fox News in a long time, Mario, but let me ask you this. Is it your contention that there is no strategic benefit to striking Iran for the U.S.?
No immediate benefit.
None.
None.
It's not strategically valuable to shut down their oil production and provision of oil to China. It's not strategically valuable to strike Iran, shut down oil production, coupled with the seizure of oil production out of Venezuela, and hamstring China's energy economy.
I mean,
basically shut them down. And also, make no mistake, this is the end of the BRICS threat as well. This is the end of the BRICS nations maneuver as well. So, I mean, if nothing else, we have just at least extended the security of the American oil dollar into the future.
Yeah.
Maybe not long term, but certainly beyond its imminent collapse under pressure from the BRICS organizations. Also, with that, under Trump's first administration, we were a net energy exporter, and that stopped as soon as Biden took office. I think this disruption to Middle Eastern oil production will be a big step in the right direction to resecuring U.S. oil generation. And something I want to tackle Go ahead and say what you were going to say, and then I'll get to the other piece that I wanted to tackle this morning.
I mean,
Well, there's a
sure.
couple of them, but
Yeah, you're right. There are some geo geopolitical, geoeconomic, okay, yeah, benefits to taking out the Iranian regime. All right, but it's like, but you didn't have to. Iran was a rational actor. Okay, Iran, they're not. Iran is a rational actor. Iran would have followed through. Okay, on whatever deal we made with them because it is in their economic interest to do so. Iran was chastened by the strikes last year. Okay, the joint U.S. and Israeli strikes that basically showed them that your defenses can't stop us. Okay, like you can't stop us. That was the precursor. That was the test run to this. All right, where U.S. and Israeli air assets moved into Iranian airspace and essentially did whatever they wanted, played with them like a cat would play with a mouse. All right. So that was the wake up call to the Iranians that the only thing that you have in response to what we can do to you is the ability to spam missile attacks on the region. Okay, which is what they do. That is the calculus of the Iranian missile program, which is we can produce Katyusha 107 and 240 millimeter rockets uh, faster, more of them, and for cheaper than it costs you to shoot them down. All right, that's the basic math here. Okay, and that's why Israel was forced to back out of its previous engagement. Okay, why we were forced to step in and use our naval anti-air assets to essentially shield Israel. About 7 days into the previous bombing campaign, because Israel was running out of the Iron Dome interceptor rockets. All right, because
right.
it's cheaper. It's cheaper to just launch a missile than it is to intercept a missile. Okay, always. That's Iran's calculus. But that's all that Iran has, essentially, is not a nuclear program. Um, it was a conventional missile program launched in spam attacks. That is their most effective strategy that we've seen thus far. Um,
Okay, so Iran has been publicly stating that it has a weapons program, a nuclear weapons program, and that it intends to extend the capability of that program to intercontinental ballistic missiles with the ability to strike U.S. targets from their location and call death for America, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and you're telling me that they don't that they're lying, that they simply don't have what evidence supports the claim that Iran was not developing to become a nuclear threat?
no, I think they were developing to become a nuclear power because they know that's the only guarantee that the regime could survive. Okay, of course they're trying to develop a nuclear weapon. All right. Where they are in that, okay, I don't know, but it is, if you look at it from like a political calculus, that's their only option. The only option for any
Agreed.
nation that doesn't want to have done to them what was just done to Iran, which is the total neutering of the state. Okay, is basically a nuclear weapon. So if you are an adversary of the United States and you have the means to do so, then you damn well better be developing a nuclear weapon. That's your only safe bet. Okay, so I mean, fuck's sake, look what happened to Libya. They gave up their weapons program and then immediately, you know, the powers that be in the West ginned up a terrorist army to just ruin the country. So,
Yep.
and then we swept in and cleaned it up when after the damage had been largely done. But yeah, I mean, you United States will fucking kill you. That's the problem. That's why you need to have a nuclear weapon. And the United States will kill you if Israel tells them to do it. Okay? Please understand that. I said that in the primer on Saturday before going into this topic today, but and I am trying to wake up right now, so bear with me. But we don't control our foreign policy. That was not a decision that was made entirely for the interest of the United States. This was not a decision made
See, now
that
there you go.
benefited us.
You said this was not made entirely for the benefit of the United States.
This is not America first. It's not America first, not in the slightest. Not entirely in our benefit. You were saying?
not entirely to our benefit. I'm going to push back on you there. I'm not going to push back so hard on the not America first, but a little bit, because like I was saying with the oil production thing, it in my mind it looks like. Let me untangle this knot slowly so I don't get stuck on it. Okay. The public facing justification and claim is Israel is our greatest ally, which is bullshit, but just accept that what I'm talking about is the public narrative right now. Israel's our greatest ally. Iran is an evil country that treats its people badly, and women don't have rights, and they murder gays, and blah, blah, blah.
Not my problem. Not my problem.
Agreed. Stick with me, though. That they are uniquely evil and hate America. Okay. Yes, Iran hates America. We're the big Satan. Israel is the little Satan. And they, their government institutionally and ideologically, Iran is interested, or at least they were. I don't know if they've got anybody left that's interested in this anymore after this weekend, but they were interested in the total destruction and obliteration of Israel and the United States. Okay, so there we could share them as a common enemy. And to be fair to Mario's position that we don't control our foreign policy, I would say that at the bare minimum, Iran has the perception that Israel is in control of the United States, and with the United States being a more powerful adversary than the Israelis, that is kind of the reason why America is their big Satan and Israel is their little Satan. And we could be disentangled from that if we were disentangled from Israel. I will also happily concede that Israel shares one major quality in common with all of our foreign allies. They are useless bedfellows, right? And when I think about Mario, you may remember this. You may remember this safety brief from DLI, where I explained to a bunch of younger soldiers, listen, when you take a lady out, you buy a nice dinner, you go to a nice show, it's expensive, you spend a lot of money, you get home and she just kind of lays there like a dead fish. That's rude. And I'm always a gentleman. I'm never rude like that. If you fuck me, I will fuck you right back. Right? And there's a good deal of that going on in this math. Now, one of the major criticisms against this strike is, of course, the fear, the concern that we're walking ourselves into yet another forever war. And I got to say, this does not look like the beginning of a forever war. This strike was extreme. It was effective. And I would say this doesn't look like escalation so much as it looks like lancing the boil. If we had struck in Afghanistan in this way when we first went in the early 2000s, then it would not have dragged on for 20 years. So striking an enemy and striking him down hard works very well in my math. And like I said, all that public-facing stuff, I don't give a shit about the relationship between Iran and Israel. I don't care what Iran does to its own people, right? I can hate them for it. I can think it's abhorrent, but that doesn't mean that it's worth me spending blood and treasure on, because those people are tolerating what's happening to them, and that is not my problem, right? I don't care about Israel's interests in the Middle East. I don't particularly care if Israel, right? But just because Israel has a particular foreign policy interest in the destruction of Iran does not obviate the possibility of our having a legitimate interest in disrupting oil pipelines to Russia and China. Now, those two things alone make it worthwhile in my book to smash a major supplier of strategic assets to our larger enemies. Just because our interests can align with Israel does not guarantee that they're in control of anything. And I'm not saying they are or aren't, right? And I would absolutely prefer that we had a lot less. We're not dependent on Israel. Israel isn't dependent of the United States. Israel is a welfare state sucking entirely at our hind tit, and our response to any of their foreign policy interests or wants should be completely null because they are not a valuable partner.
Our political class is dependent on Israel. Israel decides who gets to run for office here. Okay. Israel finances most campaigns. Okay. And if you don't take the Judengeld, all right, you don't get any campaign funding. You don't get any support from the main party apparatus, whether it be Democrat or Republican. The political class is entirely dependent on Israel through blackmail, okay, and through financial control. And through control of the mechanisms within the party establishments themselves that select candidates. Okay. Look what happens look what happens on Capitol Hill if you do not support Israel. You get shown the door. Okay. Matt Gaetz, soon to be probably Thomas Massey, right? And it's both sides of the aisle. Democrats are the same way. All right. You got the squad, which is basically a limited hangout for the Democrats, okay, for for the anti-Zionist protest movement, but they don't have any real power. All right. Now, Joe Booty says you have to see what China was doing in Panama and Venezuela. The world is a nasty place. You have to be a meanie in this mean world, or be conquered by the Chinese in 40 years, or Iran too. Okay. What part of that is going to prevent your grandchild from growing up in a USA that resembles Brazil? None of it. None of it. This is not 1991, where we can basically enter any nation we want with the fear of God behind us, okay, and annihilate any country, okay, without consequence.
I don't know. Venezuela is showing some pretty compelling evidence to the contrary.
Oh, that's the new strategy. It's the non-regime change, but just the decapitation. So not regime change, but management change. Okay, that's the new thing. All right, and that is I'll give them credit where credit's due. That is that was an effective operation, and Trump very well might get away with this one. Okay, and I kind of hope he does, because I don't want all the fallout for the United States. Okay.
Well, and Mario, you and I have talked about this before, right? I would prefer that the U.S. foreign policy be as simple as this: hey, all you motherfuckers out there, you do what we want you to do, act right, and don't be dicks, or we'll spank you. And then they don't act right, they do be dicks. We fly over, we bomb the absolute dog shit out of as many upper echelon leadership entities as is possible, which appears to be what we did. I mean, the strike that just happened on Iran, the political fallout for the nation of Iran is going to be not dissimilar to if someone had basically nuked the State of the Union, right? We didn't just take out the leadership. We took out the entire organizational continuity structure, right? That's huge. And that's what I've been saying, what I've said before. I think our best functional foreign policy would be you nuke the I don't mean use nuclear weapons. You obliterate the upper echelon leadership of the country. Let the people sort out how they're going to run the country. And if they get it wrong, you hit them again. And you hit them again, and you hit them again, until either they get it right or they run out of people. Okay, I'm totally comfortable with that as a strategy.
It's not for us. It's not for us. We're not in control of our own destiny here. Okay. Understand that we are not doing this for the benefit of the United States. We are doing this for the benefit of Israel exclusively. Okay. And you want to talk about politics in it, right? Well, what is and what is not popular, right? So prior to the operation, according to various polls, 80% of Americans were opposed to our involvement in this. Okay, so it's not politically popular at all. But we're going to go. But they went ahead and did it anyway. Okay, they did something extremely politically unpopular that's going to have political consequences. Okay, for the Trump administration and beyond. Because who do they really serve? Now you look at something that is very, very politically popular, okay, like mass
The SAVE
deportations,
Act.
the SAVE Act and mass deportations, very popular, okay. The majority, okay, left and right, Democrat and Republican, okay, support this. Let support mass deportation and support the SAVE Act legislation. Is that going to happen? No. It's not about what's popular. It's about who serves who. And we are a client state of Israel at this point. We live on we have an occupied government by Israel. We live in an occupied country. We are controlled by Israel. Please understand that. It's not hyperbole. Now, you want to talk about what are the die is cast. Okay, you can't put the genie back in the bottle here. What's going to happen? What do you think happens next? Is there actually going to be regime change? No, there won't be. That's what Santa Stephen, as opposed to doing it for Rome. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's not in our self interest. Now you want to talk about regime change, all right? Is there going to be regime change? I really doubt it. Regime change requires an actual organized group of people, okay, ready to step in and fill that vacuum. What we're doing is bombing the shit out of them, okay? And throughout the entire week, we're going to be progressively degrading their infrastructure. All right? And what's going to happen is chaos essentially in the streets, in the more well-to-do areas. Okay, the richer districts, it's going to result in panic buying, which is going to basically cause a logistics collapse. All right, and in the poorer areas, this is going to result in looting and rioting. Okay, as people basically fight and steal for their needs. Okay, because essentially the machine of government has come to an end. Now, who's going to fill in that gap? Well, you can kill all the leadership of the IRGC, okay, and the Iranian government that you want, but it's a million man army, all right? It's a massive apparatus of the state. And the people who are going to step up and fill in that power vacuum and restore order during that chaos is going to be the very same regime that we're bombing, okay? And the people will be grateful for it, okay? What do you like the Trump right now? Okay, State Department is saying that to the Iranian people, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to take back your country. Okay, and yeah, that might be the case, right? But is there? I mean, there would have to be a massive organized structure already like on the ground, ready to step in, and I don't think that exists. You don't get a brand new government organically. Okay, that doesn't happen. That comes from kind of your great man of history moments, okay? Um, where you actually you need a spearhead to kind of who has the political sensibility and honestly the charisma to make that happen. We were quite fortunate in we were quite fortunate in 1775 to have a basically a whole team of such people, okay, ready to create a new government. Iran, not necessarily. Okay, and the American Revolution was decades in the making. Okay, it didn't just happen one night. Okay, it didn't just happen after the Boston Tea Party. All right, where suddenly we had a, a group of distinguished gentlemen ready to create something new. Um, as for Iran, I don't know, but what's going to happen is the regime is going to be the one who puts an end to the chaos at the street level in Iran
Yep.
when the bombing stops. and they're still going to be in power. Okay, so it's not going to be a regime change. It looking more like a decapitation, kind of like Venezuela, except with a lot more collateral damage. So what's done is done. Like I said, genie can't go back in the bottle. Iran has been effectively neutered. Even though there won't be regime change, they have been neutered. They're specifically bombing their conventional missile production facilities as well here. Okay, it's not just attacking a nuclear program. It's not just attacking their air defense screen. All right, which was largely pulverized in the previous strikes last year. But no, now we're targeting their conventional weapon production. So when this is over, Iran will, as far as the world stage is concerned, from a military perspective, be castrated.
Yes.
And what that means for the region is Israel. Israel is now the hegemon of the Middle East. Israel, with the United States implicit support, is now the hegemon of the Middle East. Everyone else has been solved through treaty, okay, or through joint business venture, okay. Egypt, pacified through treaty. Lebanon's still a problem, but that's small fries. Okay, that Lebanon poses no more threat really to the state of Israel than say Gaza does. All right, or than insurgents in Gaza or the West Bank. Syria has also been neutered and brought to essentially a shell of its former self. Okay, poses no real threat. Jordan has been solved under treaty. All right. Saudi Arabia has been solved under treaty and massive business ventures. Okay,
Mhm.
outlined in the Abraham Accords. All right. Iraq is a shell of its former self. Okay. Permanently mired in infighting between between the three different ethnic factions. Okay, Sunni, Shia, and Kurd that exist in the country. It poses no
Yep.
threat whatsoever. All right. And now Iran, which was the chief adversary, the one who could actually reach out and touch Israel, now they're gone, at least in the capacity to inflict any harm on Israel. That's it. There's no one left. You have essentially, from a geopolitical perspective, you have achieved, in essence, greater Israel, which is what the Likud party and which is what the Orthodox parties, all right, which are the coalition that make up Netanyahu's ability to hold on to power. That's what they want. We are essentially fighting to ensure a Jewish eschatology. We are fighting to ensure Jewish eschatology. All right, which is that they will effectively control the Middle East from the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the Euphrates River. All right, which is or the land that was promised to Abraham in Genesis. Okay, um, and that's it. Politically speaking, not actual physical control of the territory, but that was never going to be an option. But geopolitical control, that is in effect. You in effect now have greater Israel. Okay, the only potential threat that you could see for Israel going forward would be Turkey. All right, and was it Mario Naftali? Right, that guy wasn't he this weekend already starting to like talk shit about Turkey,
Yeah.
about how in 5 years Turkey will be a military
Yeah.
problem
One of our
for
guys
Israel.
in the infamous thread said something about Turkey, and then like 20 minutes later, we started seeing some chatter on the internet about okay, Turkey next, and yeah,
Yeah. Sergeant Major says, "Will Wall Street like this?" I mean, aside from the obvious of the of defense stocks, okay. I mean, they'll like that. Tomahawk missiles don't grow on trees. Like that's they take time to build. Okay. So for military producers, okay. Yeah, I'm sure they'll like that. But overall, kind of hard to say. You're it's volatility. This is a massive
yeah. The Dow is no longer at
volatility.
50,000.
If it who gives a shit? It's literally just it's a casino for hedge funds and for the wealthy. Okay, stock market doesn't fucking matter. Okay, I mean sure. I mean again, I'm sure a lot of you got 401ks that you're generating some type of like dividend from. Okay, that's great. But overall, the stock market is not it's not an indicator for the overall health of the economy. Okay, it's an indicator for the willingness of the ultra wealthy and for institutional wealth to spend money in the hopes of gaining more. Right, that's what it is. All right. Cade wants a deep dive on how Israel control us. I've never been convinced of that. Okay, you got it. We can do that. Turkey makes almost all the shotguns in the world. That's right. What are we going to do? Turkey is the new Brazil when it comes to inexpensive firearms. You are correct, sir. Okay. All right.
Well, that just means it may be time to look into buying a little manufacturing facility and start making some shotguns.
Patrick Brown says, I'm fortunate enough to have a pension for now. You won't. You won't. Anyway, so.
Karma says no longer at 50K. Does that mean we can care about Epstein again, Pam?
Yes, it does. It's like, I mean, yeah, you bring up a good point. Let's kind of circle back to that. Okay, when it comes to politically difficult decisions, this strike on Iran, the essentially the neutering of Iran, that is a serious political decision to make. Okay, with extreme risk. All right, and a lot of unforeseen, like secondary and tertiary consequences that could result from it. All right, so, but they'll go ahead and do that, whereas, you know, full redaction of, say, the Epstein files. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of tired of talking about Epstein. All right, it's there. Everything what you really need to know, what you really need to understand, is publicly available right now. Okay, if you really want to go through the effort of digging through like 3 million fucking files, all right, on a government website. I've dabbled into it, but mostly I depend on people who are full-on autists who are going to do that full time. All right, to feed me information on it. Okay, because I don't have.
Yeah, same here. There's
don't
just
have
too
that
much
level.
to go. There's
Yeah,
too much to
exactly.
go through there without making it your full-time job.
And it's by design. Okay, it'd be like, oh, you want information? You want information? Okay, here's a fire hose, right? Put the fire hose down your mouth
It's
to
the
the point
class.
where
It's the classic.
you can't keep up with it.
It's the classic. You're in discovery. You petition counsel, opposing counsel for discovery, and they back up a U-Haul and say you've got 3 days to go through these 400 boxes of documents related to your case. Good luck, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's one of the when you hire a high quality, an expensive law firm, you're not really paying for good lawyers. You're paying for enough assistants to read thousands of documents in several hours, right? That's the major that's a major piece of that expense. Oh,
Yeah, like,
that's one of those things that AI is about to solve for in a big way, which is going to make some interesting changes in the world. But we'll get back to the obliteration of the entry level jobs in another episode soon.
Sergeant Major says, "Do you plan to work for the rest of your life?" Yes, I've already made peace with that. I will have to work for the rest of my life, and in the end, I'm going to die poor, alone, and afraid. Okay, I've already made peace with that, Sergeant Major.
It doesn't have to be that way. We can fix that.
No, it does.
Let me fix you, Mario.
No other way. Don't save him. He don't want to be saved. Don't save him. Okay. Let me get a cup of coffee, right? I'll be right back.
Okay. Cade says, I used to think it was the opposite. I'm not sure. Oh, capitalism runs better without government interference. I used to think it was. Yes, that's another deep dive that we're going to be doing soon. We're going to be talking about what the communists like to call late stage capitalism. There's no such thing as late stage capitalism. That's a cope. That's a propaganda tool that is used by communists to convince decent, normal people that capitalism is responsible for the evils that communism visits upon otherwise well-functioning societies. So whenever you hear somebody talking about in late stage capitalism, what they're saying is you used capitalism to build a good world, and then because you thought that you could do deals peacefully with decent people, you made the mistake of assuming that all people were decent, and you forgot to use violence to enforce decency on evil people. That's what late stage capitalism is. It's you stop killing the communists and you let them come in and start parasitizing your systems and institutions. And it was a mistake. You allowed the government's monopoly on violence to become the full retardation and discounting of its value, and that was essentially your suicide pact with communism. That's where we are today. Is we've tolerated the integration of socialism, moving toward communism into our institutional systems, and allowed it to become something that feels normal and regular to the less adequate, those who live entirely and exclusively on the backs of others, right? Those who have not contributed and earned something worth having. It's a pity Mario walked away before I went through all that, because he would not have been wrong to bring up a certain tribe in that context.
All right.
Welcome back, Mario.
Yep, I'm here. All right.
You're going to need to go back and watch the thing that I just said later. It will be good for you.
I always watch the show afterwards. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Just to make sure I'm not absolutely cringe. Okay. I can handle a certain level of cringe. Okay. A certain level of cringe is seasoning. Okay. That kind of matches my anarchic kind of sense of humor. But I digress. So.
Oh, hey, it's already 1:15. Are you working this morning?
I am.
So we need to go ahead and wrap up.
I guess let me a couple key things I wanted to just to reinforce. All right, to reinforce to everyone is that one, there's not going to be a real regime change. Okay, this looks like a new management. Okay, a new management operation. All right. I don't know. Donald Trump has already signaled that he's willing to come to the table with the Iranians, but Israel is going to want to complete basically the total sweeping of whatever its target deck is. Okay, so
now
that's
when you
happen.
say it's not going to be a regime change, I don't see how it could not be a regime change, because the entire regime was essentially decimated, right? So
it's not.
It may not be the case that the existing government is completely displaced, but it will be dramatically different, because it'll be even if it's the worst zealots that take back control, it's a different group of the worst zealots. And we'll see how we'll have to see how that shakes out. But the regime, even if we don't change what the regime is, the regime itself will have been interminably altered through this activity.
I mean, yeah, it'll be different, okay, but it is going to be a continuation essentially of the same government, okay, because no one else is going to have the ability to step in and completely fill that gap for a country of 90 million people that's 3 times the size of Iraq, okay. Like Iran's a huge country, all right.
Yeah.
It can't exist in a state of chaos, okay, for long. And the only player on the board right now in Iran that can actually fill in that power vacuum is the apparatus of the regime itself. All right. I mean, look, if you want to, just a brief aside here, you want to talk about excessive public sector, or the public sector being too large a piece of the American economy. All right. That's nothing compared to Iran. All right. Where probably like half of the people who have a steady paying job at a minimum are working directly for the government. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is going to be essentially a continuation of the same government. all right, just under different management. If you want to look at a true regime change, that would be like Iraq, okay, but that requires boots on the ground, right? That requires physical occupation of the country to ensure that happens. And what
Correct.
we
And we
did,
don't want that.
and what we did in Iraq was a disaster. Debathification was a terrible idea, all right, and it resulted in a 7 year long insurgency that we were forced to fight at the cost of about 5,000 something men. Okay, so that involved regime change involves unemploying a shitload of people. Okay, which is what we did
Right.
in Iraq, which resulted in a massive, widespread insurgency. Okay, that's what's not going to happen. They're not going to make that mistake again. No one's listening. No one's listening to at least that wing of the um, Zio American think tank. Okay, at least that's been discredited at this point. But like I said, it'll be the same regime. And secondly, we're not doing this for our interest primarily. All right, we are doing this for the interest of Israel primarily. All right, and that is a result of layers of. I mean, isn't it 1/3 of Congress has dual citizenship with Israel?
That
A
is a
third,
claim.
a third,
I've never seen any evidence to support it.
no, well, it's there. A third of Congress are like dual citizenship, have dual citizenship with Israel. Okay, um, Israel controls Israel controls all metadata collection. All right, through AMMARC. All right, in Israel, through all our metadata goes through for our civilian phone service. Okay, Israel controls the majority of Congress, all right, through APAC donation and through pressure and intimidation campaigns, all right. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of NGOs that operate within the West and the United States, in particular, to ensure the talking points of the Israeli regime are front and center in the minds of American politicians and in our foreign policy. We have absolutely no control of our foreign policy at this point, and this is a result of Donald Trump making essentially a deal with the devil to get back in office. All right, which is what happens. This is the price of $100 million from Miriam Adelson. Okay, and the fact that the timeline has been accelerated, not through the 4 years that Trump should have had to maybe accomplish their goals, while at the same time accomplishing the domestic policy that we wanted, which was the deal. I didn't go into voting Trump a third time um, without without knowing this. Okay, I knew that Trump getting into office a third time would mean that Israel's foreign policy is essentially going to be our foreign policy. Okay, but I made the gamble that if we can achieve a real America first domestic policy, then in the end it'll be worth it for us. Okay, um, and looks like the domestic policies have essentially gone to the wayside at this point, and now they're front loading everything they can get for Israel before Donald Trump becomes a lame duck or just has to deal with impeachment proceedings for whatever he's left to do within his term. All right, and that's what's good. That's what's going to happen now. All right, this is unless we can win so decisively. All right, we're talking like maybe a dozen casualties total. Okay, unless we can win this so decisively, and it doesn't have a massive disruption on the daily economic activities, okay, of the average American, then maybe Trump might be able to pull off some kind of political victory here. Domestically, as far as elections are concerned in the United States, but I really doubt it. I think this is a tacit admission that the Trump administration is finished, and they're just going to use the levers of power that they have left to accomplish everything that they promised when they made that devil's bargain. Sadly, that's what I think has happened. Um, and
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
well,
Uh,
we're going to have to see what happens, I guess.
unless there's some major fallout with Iran mounting a meaningful response,
They're
which
not going to.
okay,
They're not going to.
exactly, exactly. They just got
Yeah,
fucked in the teeth. And
I mean, people are trying to say that that Senegalese guy who basically did a classic traditional Islamic terrorism as opposed to tranny terrorism in Austin, Texas. That was like he was wearing an Iranian flag or whatever. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
It was, and then there were. I've seen some stuff where there's a kind of a mysterious spike in internet searches related to the name of the guy, which is like Diame Diongo or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
In like Fort Huachuca and Washington D.C. in the week prior to this little set piece terrorist attack. Okay, in Austin, Texas, which raises some questions at a minute. But I don't know. Iran doesn't have any effective response to this. Okay. And if they did, they had it about 48 hours ago, but then it got blown up. So yeah, Iran's done.
Yeah, I mean, in the wake of the strike, Iran basically rocket attacked every country in the Middle East. They sent out a rocket attack against every country in the Middle East, and they were all extremely ineffective. There were 4 American service members killed, not 3. It's that number is 4 now. If I'm not mistaken, those were in Kuwait. Were they at Ali Al Salim, or was that the civilian airport where they got
It
hit?
was I'm not sure. It wasn't a naval. They weren't. It wasn't like active. It wasn't naval personnel underway. Okay. It was.
Right, they weren't on a boat.
It was
Right,
people on
they were
base.
on the
It was
ground in
people on base.
Kuwait.
It was either the Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain or it was Ali Al Salim. Okay, one of the other. Not sure which.
Sergeant Major says, "Are you saying our people with security clearances are not practicing good OPSEC?" You know what?
That's the
There is
thing.
at least some of that going on, because I can tell you this: by Friday morning of last week, I'm pretty sure Mario was, and I certainly was, and several of my closest friends in a couple of different group chats, we were all pretty much certain that we were going to strike Iran Saturday morning. Like we're pretty much knew that at least 24 hours in advance. Would you say that's incorrect, Mario?
No, that's about right. I mean, I got a little bluebird, closer to the action than we are. Kind of gave me a hot tip on that. But as far as OPSEC, Sergeant Major, here's and you we know and you know, okay, just speaking for the audience's sake, having great OPSEC is it's an all or nothing thing. Okay, you can have an
Correct.
organization. You can have an organization, 100-man organization, 100-man analysis and control element. Okay, an intelligence cell. All right, um, and 99 out of that 100 practice excellent OPSEC. Okay, and leave no avenue open for exploitation. But all it takes is one Bradley Manning. Okay, and the entire operation goes fucking tits up. So OPSEC is all or nothing. All it takes is
Yeah,
one.
information is water, and OPSEC is a balloon. It just takes that one little pinprick, and you've lost everything.
This analogy works. Yes. So.
So
Wow, it's almost been an hour. That's crazy. And I just woke up. See, that's the problem. I set my alarm for 6:30, and it just didn't.
And you did most of the speaking on this episode because, well, I mean, we had the technical difficulty earlier, but I let you cook.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm deeply distrustful of this action by the U.S. government. I think it was done for the wrong reasons. I don't see how this is America first at all. All right. People elected Donald Trump a third time because we wanted real change to domestic policy. Okay. And that's what it was. It wasn't because we wanted war overseas. Donald Trump said that there would be no new wars. Donald Trump claimed himself to be the president who could negotiate the problems of the United States and find consensus with world powers. All right. So understand we've entered a new paradigm here. Okay. This is the post political Trump administration at this point. All right. And probably going to get annihilated in the midterms. Okay. Barring barring some miracle.
I'm actually much more optimistic about the midterms after this and the Maduro strike. I think these are going to work out great. I think it's going to work out great for him politically. And there's quite a bit of analysis that we don't have time for at this point in the show to go in there, but the whole no new wars thing, I've been hearing that a lot too. Oh, fell for it again. Donald Trump said no new wars. Okay, yeah. That Donald Trump has been clearly and consistently opposed to extreme foreign interventionism, military expeditionism, but that we don't want to get entangled in foreign wars does not obviate the existence of dangerous American enemies in the world, right? So he said, I don't want to get involved in foreign war. I don't want no new wars, okay? Iran was already a problem, and this is not a new war, right? This isn't even a war. This was an extermination action that will not result in a new war. A military action and a war are not the same thing. And I do not see any world in which the result of this strike on Iran entails us being mired in a new war. Unless China and Russia decide to go full on World War III. And that is not likely, especially not with their energy supply being essentially completely truncated by the fall of Venezuela and Iran. So this is not a betrayal of the no new wars claim. That I reject your no true Scotsman.
Santa Stevens says, so you're expecting perfection 100%? No, not at all. Not at all. I'm expecting maybe 10% at this point. Okay. What I don't appreciate is the giant lie. Okay. So he's been saying we're not pursuing regime change in Iran since 2016. Okay. So that was a massive lie. And if Donald Trump is willing to tell
hold on. Wait.
A massive lie like that, then what else would he be lying about?
Hang on a minute. You just finished explaining to me that this will not result in regime change. How do you square that circle?
Well, that's their intention, though. That's their intention. It's just not what they're going to get. But that is the
how
plan.
How can you assume intent where you also assume impossibility?
Because they have said their objective is regime change. Israel and the United States have stated, Donald Trump has stated that the objective is regime change here. Okay. Benjamin Netanyahu has stated it as regime change is the objective here. Okay. So no, dude, don't try to gaslight me. Donald Trump fucking lied to you. Okay. Donald Trump lied to you. Understand that. You can't deny that. He lied. Do I hate Donald Trump? No. Did I vote for Donald Trump 3 times? Yes. Am I disappointed about this? Massively. Do I think this is going to have a positive effect domestically or internationally? No, I don't. I think this was a mistake. And I hope for the sake of our military personnel, it doesn't turn into a disaster. And I hope domestically that this doesn't result in, come November, we get a lame duck Trump presidency, surrounded by essentially feminist gay race communism. All right, circling around, ready to basically tear apart whatever remains of the of whatever remains of your traditional understanding of the United States culturally, okay, and politically, which is basically white primacy. Okay, this does more to damage white primacy, culturally speaking, in the United States than anything else. All right, and we haven't even begun to see what type of waves of refugees are going to be pouring out of Iran as a result of this action. Well, we're trying to save our people here, man. Like, don't make no mistake. I mean,
We're not going to see Iranian
no,
refugees coming to the U.S.
no, probably not. But you will see. This is a massive destabilizing action in the Middle East. Okay.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's a massive, yes, and it results in Israel's hegemony over the region. Israel is now the most powerful country in the Middle East by far.
Yes. I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
And Israel takes advantage of this country. Israel uses us like a golem.
I agree with you on that.
To achieve its objectives. And this isn't going to, they will not be appeased by this, all right? Our masters in Tel Aviv will continue to use this country for whatever their objectives are. And no matter how politically unpopular, that they will get what they want. And no matter how politically popular certain domestic policies would be, like mass deportation, SAVE Act, okay, suspension of government benefits for not only hostile foreign invaders, but those who have essentially been naturalized on paper only, but have effectively failed to integrate in any capacity into American society, like Undiago in Austin, Texas this weekend. Okay, that's kind of what I want. I'm trying to save our bloodlines here, man. I'm trying to save the founding stock of the United States, and this doesn't do a damn thing towards
that. I'm with you there. I don't want to see the U.S. start to look like
Brazil,
the U.K. I don't want to see the U.S. look like France or Britain, right?
It already does in the cities.
Where they're completely captured. And you're right, it does in the cities. Look at New York, for example. That institutional capture is, it cannot be overstated, the harm that was done to this country by the Biden administration and the Obama administration, if we're being honest.
Administration and the Reagan administration.
And yes.
Every administration of our life.
Reagan, I like
Reagan's 1980s.
There was a lot to like about Reagan, but I'd trade it all away to get rid of his absolute failure on immigration.
Two main things: failure on immigration and the deregulation of the financial sector, allowing for the financialization of the entire economy. That began under Reagan as well. But anyway, we're past the hour. If you want to wrap it up there, I'm sure I'm deeply unpopular, and yeah, I'm stone sober too. So I'm sure I'm deeply unpopular with the chat at this point. All right.
Mario, no, you're doing fine, brother.
Mario's a heretic and he must be purged. Okay, I get it.
All right, guys. We appreciate y'all watching this morning. Thanks for being up and having coffee with us.
Aaron Olson also mentions Reagan presided over the passage of no-fault divorce. Very, very good, Aaron. That is true.
Yeah,
also a disaster.
That may be no. The two things that destroyed this country were three things. Okay. The creation of the IRS and the income tax, no-fault divorce, and the direct election of senators.
Yeah. Nope. Those are both of those significantly took power away from the family. Things that attack
the Amendment.
Yeah, things that attack the family as the bedrock, as the microcosm of the larger body politic. Okay, yes, and communists always attack the family first before they do anything else.
Yep. All right, guys.
Snitch on you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
Jesus, Mario, just let me end it.
No.